guys ready? That was a question. You guys ready? All right, okay, so now I'm actually ready. So today we're going to be talking about all kinds of stuff. We're going to be talking about the future of work. But, as was mentioned earlier today, we are going back to the future. Back to, well, basically the regular stuff. See, we've got all these cool things with technology and everything else, but ultimately, it does actually go back to people. Okay, it does actually go back to our emotions, to our motivation, to, well, basically everything that they said, like they just did my entire talk before I got here. Okay, so, but we're going to look at it from a technical way of approaching how to create motivated organizational cultures where people are like super awesome, feeling good about themselves. Let me ask you a question. How many of you actually, when you first started your job, were thinking, wow, this is amazing, and you're like really excited, and you got all this thing, all this vision of what's going to happen in the future. Do you remember that? And how many of you still have that? Okay, we got like 7 of you, 8. All right, okay, awesome. Okay, so here's the thing. Ooh. Okay, what happens is that sometimes we end up kind of seeing something. See, how many of you have skills? Okay, that's like about 30% of you. All right. Now, if you've got skills, do you ever notice that sometimes because of the environment that you're in, that you're not really applying those skills as much as you could because there's different situations that affect how you feel? Has that happened? That was a question. Okay, all right, so what is work gamification, first of all? Okay, is it playing games at work? No, it's not playing games at work. It's actually creating gamified work processes. How many of you do performance measurement? Anybody? Performance measurement? Sometimes you do it like annual reviews. Sometimes you do it quarterly reviews. How many of you do quarterly reviews? Okay, biannual? And then annual? Okay, so here's the thing. Every time you measure, you are essentially creating some kind of gamification. The only problem is that most of your performance measurement sessions are, well, boring, right? And in which case, that means that people are not really very excited. But what if we could reinvent performance measurement and we can actually turn it into a regular way of giving feedback, having fun, and ultimately creating motivated environments where people are excited and learning all at the same time in order to achieve objectives. Would that be cool? That was a question. All right, now hey, okay, so you notice that like there's this book, right? Okay, so this, for the people that are like the most excited, somebody is going to get this book for free, okay? So you guys, I'm watching. All right, so first of all, how many of you like to feel like you actually add value to your organization? Okay, so technically that should be everybody. Now, why? Well, okay, let's just look at back into the caveman days. Do you know that back in the caveman days, if you didn't belong to a tribe, your chances of survival were actually pretty slim? Okay, which means that you had to find ways to add value to the tribe, otherwise you die. Okay? So instinctually, we need to feel that we're adding value. And there's been all kinds of studies and everything else that basically show that adding value is a key indicator for engagement, innovation, basically pretty much everything that HR wants to achieve. Okay? Now, measurement is one of the key factors for that. Would you agree with that? Okay? Now, here's the thing. You've probably heard these things where they say, oh, you've got to, give people praise and everything else. Okay, have you heard that? Now, I'm not saying don't give people praise, but have you ever been in a situation where you got somebody that's always praising you no matter what you do? And you're going, oh my gosh, not again. Okay, so that doesn't always help. Okay, So right now, we are in the PFB era. You know what the PFB era is? Post-Facebook, right? Because before Facebook, we would get measured like by our peers in real life. Now, it's like, you know what? My boss isn't really giving me the recognition that I think I deserve, so I'm just going to take my phone, I'm going to put a picture of a cat on Instagram and get 100 likes in 20 minutes. I'm awesome. Okay, so you get your own emotional gratification. People are now in more control. So the standards have changed a little bit, okay? And we're constantly looking for social validation. Now, there's all kinds of social validation. There's social validation left. You know that Facebook, Instagram, okay, all of these things, they're basically giving you performance measurement for your life, right? And then you do it for business, you do it all these things, but ultimately it's still about how you see the measurement. Now, here's the thing. Have you ever been in a situation where you're thinking, wow, I'm going to really be able to do this, but you can't, it doesn't really work out for you? You're thinking that, oh, maybe I have the skills, maybe I'm trying to do something. When you're working with people, okay, you kind of, you know, push them in and then they feel, oh, it's too hard, I can't do it. Has that ever happened? And so therefore they get lower levels of confidence and they give up. Okay, so we have this gamification value perception index. Okay, so if you give up, that means your standards, the set of what you're setting, is too high for people to ultimately achieve, right? But then you get to the point of where, well, you're not getting enough feedback, so they're not sure if they're doing it right. Do you have like instant feedback? That was a question. Okay, and do you think that instant feedback is important? Because ultimately, what happens is like you're getting these situations where, you know, people are doing something. It's like, did I do it right? Am I doing the right thing? And if they don't get feedback, they don't really have the confidence. And then, of course, once you've actually get these things all set, you're making sure that people win. You have at least lower levels to kind of start with, and then you kind of get them the regular feedback. Now you're able to start getting them motivated, okay? And now you got to keep them motivated, and then ultimately, this is where you go into the growth stage, okay? But there is a problem, because ultimately, there is this thing called fear, right? Do you have fear? That was a question. Okay, so now some of you may have the fear to stand up in front of an entire audience and go, whoa, look at me, I'm so awesome. Okay, others maybe kind of, you know, have the fear to do public speaking. Okay, but ultimately, there's also the fear of just not being good enough, the fear of being blamed, the fear of essentially not doing things right so that you don't get the sense of being valuable. Right? Because we're going back to basics. So one of the things that happens is we have this whole thing about security, but we also have this thing about diversity. How many of you like superheroes? Really? Only like 12 of you. Okay? All right, so let's just say, and what's a famous Indian superhero? Which one? Shaktiman. Shaktiman. So Shaktiman, does he like fly or anything? Oh, is he like flying? Shaktiman is like, you know, now if Shaktiman is a superhero, right? Okay, what makes him a superhero? His belief. Okay? Does he fight? See, the question is, does he fight supervillains? Now, what if he was just in front of like some pizza, you know, shop, and all he does is he's ready, and the moment somebody tries to steal a pizza, he stops, oh, and grabs the pizza stealers. Oh. Is he still a superhero? Not really, right? Why? Because he's not fighting supervillains. See, a superhero is defined by the villains that he fights. If you fight, how many of you have big problems? Okay, those of you that raise your hand, you have the opportunity to be superheroes. How many of you have medium problems? Okay, the medium problem, you can be a medium hero. The rest of you, how many of you have small problems? Okay, small problems, you can be small heroes. I guess the rest of you have no problems at all, right? Okay, so Now, what if we've got superheroes? Now you're creating diversity, right? People that solve big problems become superheroes. People that solve medium problems, they can be medium heroes, and so on. Now, what if you gamified that? See, because diversity creates a theme, right? See, it's boring to always be in the same thing. It's like, this is work. Oh, I get points. Oh, I get a bonus. It's okay, but ultimately, what if you could make it a little bit more fun? You could create themes. It doesn't have to be superheroes, okay? But you could base it on different factors that are important in your organization. This creates diversity. But diversity is essentially what makes fun. The problem is there's the fear. And sometimes the fear is what prevents people from acting on these gamified work processes, right? So we've got this high thing called the fear tolerance thing. I'm not going to go into it because, all the graphs and stuff are boring, right? But ultimately, here's the thing. If your fear is higher than your emotional need for diversity or growth or some of these other things, well, you're probably not going to participate, okay? And that means that if you don't have something that can connect with everybody, or at least most people, because then there's the peer pressure part. Remember, if most people are working on a game or a gamified work process, that means that the other people who are not, they're like, oh my gosh, now I have to conform. Because then there's the fear of not fitting in. Does that make sense? Okay? So, ultimately, it goes back to, are you safe? Are you safe? See, a safe environment is the key factor. Now, earlier today, we had some personal sharing. How often does something like that happen in an organization? I mean, really, how easy is it for you to go up to people and share your personal feelings, your emotions? It's like, boss, I just want you to know that everything that I have done over the past 2 years has been for this company, and I really care about this company in a big way, and I just felt that you just didn't really notice me. And
Sorry you felt that way,
okay.
Arthur?
Now, but how would you do that, right? I mean, would you do that? Not really, right? Because it's not something that people do. The emotions and everything else is like, ah! But what creates a safe environment? Okay? So, first of all, trust. Is trust important? Okay? So, let's just look at one factor. How many of you have brains? Okay, so about 20% of you. Awesome. Okay, so here's the thing. There's this part of this way that our brain gets clarity. Now, have you ever been in a situation where you're explaining something to somebody and you're saying, you're very clear, you're very concise, you know exactly what you're saying, and you ask them, do you understand? And they say, yes, I do, and you're feeling great, but then they go and do something completely different. Has that ever happened? Okay, so you're probably thinking, oh my gosh, I'm surrounded by idiots. But here's the thing. That affects your perception of who they are, doesn't it? You may not say anything consciously, but subconsciously you're thinking, oh my gosh, I can't trust these people to do this. Okay, I can't trust these people to do that. Okay? And so what ends up happening is that you create these situations where ultimately people don't feel trusted. So I'm going to give you a little bit of a very basic idea. The brain's genetic ambiguity relief process, okay? So, first of all, people get clarity in very specific ways. And it's genetic, you can't change it. Okay? Number one, chaotic processing. They get clarity through taking action, which means they have to actually hey, what do you think about this? And they take action and whatnot. So, the next one, linear processing. Before they take action, they need clarity by finding the structure. So you can see where the conflict comes. It's like, here's these guys, let's just do it, come on, let's go. And the other guys, wait a minute, where's the structure? How does it fit? How does it connect to each other? And so therefore, you have conflict, you have lack of synergy. Relational processing, okay? this is where basically people need data, information. The more information, the easier it is to kind of get clarity. And then they can see the options. And once they see the options, okay, now I can go there, go here, okay? And intuitive processing. This is where kind of the process of getting clarity is more reflective. Now, okay, how many of you, does anybody here really want to know about this? Okay, you want to know about it? Okay, since you're here in the front and you're like, raise your hand, I'm going to give you the Colored Brain Communication Field Manual. Thank you very much. Okay, but for the rest of you, but wait, there's more because, okay, this is about language, right? It's predefined communication. One of the things that happens, you notice, is that sometimes if I say, oh, it's the PFB this, or it's the XYZ that, people in a specific area already know what it is. So if you already have an understanding of what, say, your processor is, then you can say, oh, dude, I'm red brain, man, okay, just remember I need to do this, as opposed to, I'm sorry, you just can't, you don't understand that I need this, and then it becomes an emotional communication. So this shortcuts, so you don't have to be emotional, but you can communicate with predefined communication that you know about your brain process, okay? And here is this, well, the inside of the system, basically everybody is connected, and you can kind of see who's in your danger zone and all kinds of stuff. But here's what I'm going to do. Take a picture of this. Quick, take a picture because we got to go. This is free for you. You can take the Colored Brain test right now. Take a picture, but there's only 100 of these, so it's for the first 100 people that do this. So take a picture. This is the code that'll give you the free version. Ready? Okay, that'll give you the test for free. Okay, everybody got it? Got it? Okay. So, gamified measurement. What is measurement? Well, there's different kinds. Is there anybody that's a PhD? Okay. MBA? Those are levels. Okay. Quality? 98% pure. Okay. Comparison? First place, second place. Okay. Time? 20 minutes or it's free. Okay. Then, of course, the objective. Okay. So, or quantity, for example. I have 1 million followers. Okay, all of these ultimately are just measurements. Okay, and of course we start with the culture, and time is a key factor in building this. Okay, time is essential for any kind of gamification. But here's the most important part. How many? Because right now, all of your gamification, all of the stuff, all the measurement you have is usually based on KPIs. Would you agree? Okay, KPIs, actual achievement objectives. Here's a problem. It's not timely, because people are not going to be able to finish things every day, right? And if it was measurement is very difficult. But what if you took your objectives, you took your KPIs, and you reverse engineered them into behaviors? Do you think that it would be easier to measure the behaviors compared to ultimately waiting until they finally get the KPIs? And if you're measuring behaviors, okay, that means positive and negative behaviors, wouldn't that actually give you feedback so that you can actually achieve the end result more effectively? So you're getting regular feedback. Can you measure behaviors every day? That was a question. You can, right? Okay, and of course, when you're measuring, you want people to win, right? Because you need people to feel valuable. So you measure individuals, but you also measure the teams and the organization. Remember, if we benchmark the culture, then the organization, as it evolves, also people get to win. If your team wins, then you win. If you don't win as an individual, you could be part of any of these other things, right? So there is a tool we use called Squadly, okay? Take a picture of this. Squadly is a gamification app, behavior gamification app. So it can give you positive and negative emoji. It takes literally, and again, the thing is, it's got to be easy. If it takes time, nobody's going to use it. You can make a data point in 15 seconds, the same as a WhatsApp message, okay? Connected to specific behaviors. Now, there's another thing, the importance of resurrection. Have you ever been in how many of you ever played actual games online? Okay, and these shooter games, have you ever, played a shooter game, you're trying to kill the robots, then you turn right, and then what happens? Bam! The robot kills you. You die. Now, is the game over? No, because you are resurrected. But now you have new experience, right? Now you don't turn right. Now you turn left. And now that helps you to go to the next level. Well, it's the same thing with work gamification. New experience based on the previous epic of your work gamification is designed to give you enough feedback so that the next epic, which we recommend maybe once a week, start from zero, clean slate. Okay? So now you actually get a chance to start from the beginning, and those people that are usually, like there's always those 5 people that are ahead of everybody, okay? You can create situations where they are not always going to be on the end, at the top, okay? So, gamification process, set the goals, primary motivators, create a theme, okay? And of course, create a game structure, ultimately measure everything, okay? And the main thing, though, is this is connected to organizational culture, and it's not something that management does. It's something that you get your people to work with you. Let your people take the lead, okay? And this is the ideal working environment. Now, this is something we've asked in 57 different countries. It's more or less the same. We ask, what's your ideal working environment? Look at these. Would you agree that this is something that you would consider your ideal working environment? Okay? Most people have the same idea, okay? Now, the future. All of this is actually being put into a metaverse as well, an AI-assisted metaverse, okay? Now, you've heard of ChatGPT and all the stuff that's going on with that, okay? Well, imagine, in this particular case, and this is already working, that you've got all the best coaches, trainers from around the world, okay? And they're inputting how they solve problems and what kind of problem they solve and how they find root causes. So imagine now you have an AI in a metaverse situation that makes it fun for you to actually get to the root cause of your problems. Because sometimes HR goes in there, I need leadership training, but if you ask a few questions, maybe you don't actually need leadership training. Maybe you need something else, and the AI actually helps you to do that. Now, I've got a little video here, but we're not going to play it because I am running out of time, and wait, there it goes. So ultimately, bonus, learning tokenization, the last thing I'm going to be talking about. Okay, what if you had an opportunity, because people take training, right? They do training. How much of that is actually implemented? Now, let's not talk about the guys that are playing with their phones in the training. Let's talk about the guys that actually want to learn and want to implement. What happens? They go back to work and they get busy. Has that ever happened? Now, what if, okay, and just bear with me, what if there was a way to connect actual implementation of training into bonuses and extra time off? Do you think that people would take that extra step to implement what they've learned? Now, not everybody, but that's the whole benefit of this, is that those who do will get more money. And learning tokenization uses blockchain in order to literally connect a percentage of your training budget, a percentage of the bonus budget, and a percentage of time off based on different levels of training implementation that is collaborated with clarity of the providers, okay? Since I'm out of time, I'm not going to go into depth on that, but if anybody want to see me later, okay, let me know. And of course, step-by-step implementation on this whole thing, okay? You want it. Okay, there you go. He's raised his hand before it. No, yeah, but I only, okay, don't worry. Hey, if you want to buy this book, I have some at Indian prices in the back later on, okay? Thank you very much. All right, and that's all I got. If anybody wants to have a call with me, you can take this down, okay? I have the first 5 people are going to get us a consulting call with me for free, okay? Just go ahead and take a picture of that so you will be able to send me an email. All right, ready? Any questions? No, there is no questions because I'm out of time. Okay, so thank you very much. And with that, have a good time.
So the biggest challenge which we as HR professionals are struggling with, after the training, the implementation part, and as rightly mentioned by Arthur, that definitely whatever we are trained upon, if we implement that in a day-to-day activity, that's the best learning. So thank you very much, Arthur. It was a fantastic session. And as a small token of appreciation from World HRD Congress, this lovely memento for you.